31.
31. Still here.
Still here. Still saying we're still here.
No. Every time I edit it, I'm like, that's what we say. I don't know why. That's what we say.
That's the official intro, is to announce that we are still here. Because seeing us isn't enough to know that we're still here. We have to announce it.
Yeah. No, every time we do it and every time we record it, I do wonder if there will be a next one. And then between this one and the last one, there was at least 2 weeks, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm like, wait, is it going to be a next one?
No.
But inevitably, we drink cacao and talk, and I'm like, oh, we should have recorded this.
Yeah, I know. We were 2 days ago we were talking and we didn't record it, and it was like, ooh, this would be a great topic. And now we can't even remember what the topic was.
Yeah. Yeah.
If only we had pencils and paper.
Spent 5 minutes trying to remember what the topic was. I still don't know. But we do have a topic. We came up with a different topic.
So instead, we'll talk about taking on other people's energy. Kind of like saying merging with them isn't really the right thing, or more like absorbing it, or getting into phase with somebody else's energy. And I guess it could be in a good way, but my personal experience is that it's usually not in a good way.
Yeah. But it's not a like I want to say it's not a
right.
So
no,
we're talking. I mean, we might talk about the conscious effort thereof, but what we're talking about right now is the subconscious effort.
Right. It is very subconscious, at least for me, because I know I do this. I do this a lot. Is that I will be, in a, let's say, a group or small group, or with someone, and whatever jive they've got going on, I will end up sometimes sinking in with it, like synchronizing with their frequency, vibration, their energy of and what the reason that I sink in with it is that to some degree I relate to it, right? If they were, vibrating Nazism or something, I'm not going to sink in with that. But if they're vibrating some sort of victim mindset, or something else that I at least have, or I can relate to some degree, I'm going to end up shifting much more into that mode than my normal, than 20 minutes before.
Yeah. Because that is something within you that is of a lower density.
Yeah.
And anytime you walk into a situation, whether it's a group or a conversation or even a topic like on the internet, that is of a lower density. If you have any remnant density or energy left that is still holding that is somewhere within your truth as a belief, that's something you can resonate with. Because it is lower, thus it's denser, you will just automatically go bloop.
Yeah.
And then you will just kind of like activate it within yourself.
Yeah. It's think about it as like, if there's something that can get you all riled up, then you've still got something in you in the same neighborhood as that. Like the 2020 election got me much more riled up than I would like to admit. And here we are in 2024, and here it is again. And it's like, it's so much easier to go, okay, whatever. None of it matters. It just doesn't matter to me. Than it was 4 years ago.
Why did it get you riled? I didn't even know you got riled up.
I mean, it wasn't like super riled up, but I could tell that there was an influx of, I could tell it got me. I mean, it wasn't. Maybe I did a good job of just not expressing it, but I could tell internally there was a reaction to, oh my gosh, so and so did this. Oh my, so and so did that, and now it's just like, there's an eye roll and a whatever. It doesn't. I think this is a good way to describe it, and this is a good way to describe a lot of things. Is that there's that you feel a charge, you feel an influx of energy, or calling it a charge is really a great way to word it. And I don't feel the charge with the election this time around. I certainly did before.
If I had to look back of why, if I did, why I did, it was because it was the density within me that was fear-based. I'm scared. This could cause unsafety.
Yeah.
Right? It was not about the election. It was about the triggering of the density of fear and being scared and being unsafe.
Yeah, it isn't, this guy versus that guy gets elected. It isn't that per se, but it is much more, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for, oh, I believe that these things are good or bad, and candidate X is against that. Oh my gosh, if they win, oh my, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for m- my
Density.
beliefs,
But the
my
frequency that you still
it's
have
all
stuck
it's all
within you.
very, very dense 3D
Yeah.
crap. But
Well,
that's where
no, the crab is actually irrelevant. What's relevant and should not be ignored is what is it that it's hitting? And it's not any one issue, it is the overall picture, right? The overall picture is, let's say this candidate is a loose cannon, and thus the amount of control that I can perceive in that situation is less than the amount of control in this situation. Therefore, the unsafety of that situation is
right,
what it would trigger in me, right?
right,
And if my core struggle in life is that I feel unsafe, then naturally I would guide myself towards safety or perceived amount of safety, right?
right,
The actual implication of whether or not it's safe or not are completely irrelevant. And in
right.
fact, it is completely based on your opinion versus my
Yeah,
opinion, right? You
that's the
can
thing
spend a
is,
lifetime arguing this,
yeah,
but they're completely irrelevant.
right.
What's relevant is that's just my trigger.
Mhm.
And my trigger is through the lens of that trigger, I see this way and I see that way.
Right.
But the
Your
nuance is irrelevant.
Yeah, yours is safety, and mine felt more like saying, like, justice, or, like, morally right or wrong or something. Because I don't
Yeah, a
I don't
morality like, oh, being screwed over. Like,
yeah, yeah, just yes, yes. And, I in injustices that I perceive toward various groups, or this or that. I don't know how long we can dance around saying who candidate X is.
no, we don't have to say what I mean, I think it's obvious. But no, but we see with you being uh screwed over in the business sense of the way, right? But like you're in the victimhood mindset, you feel disempowered, right? And then you walk into the situation and somebody X has more power and is a bully. And then thus you see yourself as the victim of the X situation. But that has been, the game that you have been playing with your triggers of being the victim.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? So the victim mindset, because it's still active, just because my mindset at the time was still active of being scared, I'm scared and you're a victim, honestly, they're not dissimilar. And then therefore what you see is how do I mitigate that? And so the influx is not even realizing that, oh, I'm just afraid because I feel like a victim. And in my case, oh, I'm just afraid because I'm scared. Um, we don't even see that. What we see is, oh, how do I mitigate that? Well, guess what? If I go vote, in this case, it's silly because it's voting, or it's if that matters, right? You go vote. Oh, at least it's not that. This might be bad, but at least it's not on safety for me,
right,
or at least it's not a bully.
right. And then, whether it goes your way or not your way, well, at least I did what I could do. At least, if I didn't vote and the other candidate wins, oh, but if I did vote and the other candidate wins, well, I at least I did my part. It's not my fault. It's not my fault that so and so won.
Yeah,
There's
but the
there's
truth is, you're still not
all these
acknowledging.
rationalizations
Yeah, but you're
in
not
it.
acknowledging the deep trigger,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, going back to falling into the mass consciousness, and it
Right.
could be mass consciousness, or it can't even be just one other
Right.
person.
No, if you want to try this for yourself, just go look at the news and see if anything goes. If you have a reaction to anything on that, I was going to say page on that screen, like a newspaper. If you have a reaction to anything, then there's something there that's
But it's not the surface layer.
It's no, it's not the surface there.
Yeah,
It's not that,
that is
oh my
where
gosh, there's the war, there's the election, there's the whatever. That's resonating with something in you it is a deeper and more fundamental, call it issue, call it truth inside of
or
you, that
stuck
stuck
energy.
energy. That's
Yeah,
it's down to, there's probably a handful of like these basic things. It's control, fear, it's
it's fear,
helplessness.
but
It's
everything else is just
flavor
a
of it.
flavor of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just fear. I mean, basically, just like we said before, you're afraid of something. Just sit there and figure out what,
Yeah.
right?
And it's
Whatever.
it's not the obvious thing. It's not the thing that you're actively, oh, it's that. I'm afraid of the election. It's not that. You're afraid of dot, 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 what it means
to you.
to you
It's
specifically. Yeah,
personalized.
yeah, yeah.
It's very personalized. And so yeah, like right, we it I would say everything is personalized. And so your own specific flavor of victimhood or your own specific flavor of scarcity, or in my case, like fear of unsafety, right, is very um, personalized to me. But if I were to walk into a situation where, let's say, two or three people are talking about, like, oh, what it means to live life scared and whatever, 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 if I'm unconscious of my personal trigger of what it causes an influx in me, I would really, really much want to belong and resonate into that conversation. And not and I will maybe point out two ways you can resonate into a conversation. The first way would be, I shouldn't say wrong, but a wrong way would be
Less wholesome.
less wholesome.
Oh,
Or if the goal is not to continue to live in fear, the wrong way to go about it would be, oh yeah, you know what? I am also afraid. And and I'm afraid of this and I'm afraid of that. And oh my gosh, it's so justifiable, right? You're
yeah.
sitting there and the three of
You want
you,
to join? You're joining the group.
you're joining the group and you're justifying why your opinion of that fear of unsafety or fear of victimhood is justifiable. You put on arguments, you deliver evidence, you tell your story, and your story goes into this evidential pool, and their story
Yeah.
goes into it, and then everything you say is an evidence of why you are justified to feel the way you are. That's one, but not because you're identifying the fact that you're playing a victimhood game or playing a game of I'm unsafe. You're not identifying it. You're identifying the kind of like the rudimentary bubbling up of why it's simmering.
Yeah.
Right? That's
Yeah.
the wrong way, I
Dot,
would
dot,
say.
dot. And it's always somebody else's fault, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So in that case, you never go, wait, if I feel this, like if I feel the candidate X, let's say, will, I don't know what, destroy Earth, let's say, right? What does that actually mean? Like, what does the destruction of Earth mean? And you will go, well, obviously the Earth does not need to be destroyed and blah, 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 blah. We can all say that. But no, it goes down deeper than that is I cease to exist, right? In that case, you're afraid of ceasing of existence. Because if Earth does not exist, where am I going to walk? By default, I'm not here, right? So the fear there is, oh, I'm afraid of not being. If the Earth is not here and it's an unhealthy environment, then I'm dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're afraid of death,
Yeah.
or whatever
I mean,
that means.
you catastrophize, an election into dot, 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 and I die.
I dealt with just fear of something.
Yeah. In
Death,
fear of something. Yeah.
unsafety.
In that example, dot, 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 and I die.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just fear,
Yeah.
right? Fear with its particular flavor. So that's the wrong way to go about it.
Yeah. I think anytime people get together and group complain about something is probably that.
Yes.
I mean, imagine, a whole
Yes.
bunch of people getting together and complaining about their job, complaining about their boss, complaining about their spouse, complaining about their, I don't know, kids, complaining about the election. I don't know, whatever people complain about.
Yeah.
That's just that. And it's just like, I feel that way too. And it's super justified.
Yeah.
I,
But sometimes it's conscious, or sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes it's not.
right. I'm going to give an example before you go over to the right way to do it. We had a cacao ceremony a while ago, and there was a lady there who, and these cacao ceremonies get pretty, intimate, and we talk about all kinds of personal things. And she was talking about how she was raised in a, strict fundamentalist religious upbringing or something, and I could totally relate to that because I was too, and it messed her up in some ways, and it messed me up in some ways too. And I'm like, oh yeah, me too, and I kind of joined in on that,
Which is fine.
which is fine, except I joined in the whole woe is me also mode instead of the that happened to me too, and I recognize that that it did this and this and this, and it had these effects, and and I'm trying to work on these, and I guess the important thing is, and I'm taking responsibility for it. Yes, as a child who's brought up in this family or that family, you don't have a lot of say in that. You don't get to pick your parents. You don't get to pick where you live or your income or your nationality or your zip code or any of those things. That's just, you just inherit that.
Mhm.
Everybody does. That's just like a fact of life. But at some point, you get you do get to choose how you react to that. You can react to it as, oh, poor me, I'm stuck in the situation. Or you can say, oh, well, I don't like the situation. What can I do to either change it or make the best of it? And it's like at 7 years old, you can't change it. Probably. You can't just leave or do what,
7 years old, you probably don't even understand what the
right. I
situation
mean,
is.
at 15 years old, you probably can't just leave.
Yeah, yeah.
And leaving isn't even necessarily always the right answer. But
No, it's seeing what it's actually
yeah,
is.
but what is it? What is it? Where is it hitting? What is it triggering in you? And that's what it sounds, at first glance, it sounds like, oh, I don't like the situation. I need to remove myself from it, which
I
might be the right thing to
no,
do,
I used to do that a lot.
but is not necessarily the right thing to do. It could be, oh, I don't like the situation. Figure out why I don't like the situation, like really why. It's
Yeah.
not that I don't like, Bob that I'm working with. It's what is probably what am I projecting onto Bob that I actually feel inside? Oh,
Mhm.
Bob bothers me so much. He's always talking. Oh my gosh, he drives me crazy. Well, that's just Bob. That has nothing to do with you. It's your reaction to Bob. And you know, is it, oh, I don't feel like I have a voice. I don't feel like I can talk. And it bothers me that Bob clearly does feel like, he has no filter. And I have a filter. And I resent the fact that inside myself, I have a filter and I'm unable to express myself. And that's why I don't like Bob.
Yeah, yeah.
Quote, don't like Bob.
Well, in
It
your
has nothing to do with Bob. It has to do with how you feel about yourself. And Bob is maybe triggering that in you, but you're really just projecting your own insecurities
or
or
scarcity.
scarcity onto Bob.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in your case, in that instance, when both of you were resonating into it, you figured out that like children should be not heard or seen, right? It was
That was
something.
like that. Yeah, I heard multiple times from my parents. Oh, children should be seen but not heard.
In her
And-
case, not seen and not heard,
Oh,
which is like both. Which is like, wait, where do I even? Am I even a human being if no one sees me and no one hears me?
wait. There was a
Probably a Simpsons kid. It sounds like a
no. I think
Simpsons
I
kid.
think it was Arrested Development. It was like children should not be seen nor heard. And
Oh,
so
no, I thought that's what she said. Not
there was Arrested Development.
no, 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 no. That was hers.
In
Not
my
only not even heard, seen but not heard, but like not even
I
seen.
think that was like a running gag on I think it was Arrested Development. If it was, I'll put a clip right here.
Famous for its
Um,
credo that children should be neither seen nor heard.
and so in the I swear I saw this in the show. It's like the kids are always like poking up from behind corners and stuff in order to not be seen nor heard.
Right? What can you spend your life basically having zero identity if you cannot be seen or heard?
There was another running gag where it's like the family motto was we can forget but we can never forgive. And so that one person, like someone had owed money and they're like, oh, could you forgive this loan? It's like, we can't forgive it, but we can just forget it. So can never forgive it, but we can just pretend it's not there.
That show was great. That show kind of like epitomized all unprocessed
All
trauma,
dysfunction.
all dysfunction.
There's so much dysfunction.
But all of it was just like hitting at the bubbling effects of like how ridiculous trauma can be,
Mhm.
and then the zero processing that was done deep down to actually like
Right.
I don't know, let
I mean,
anything flow.
it poked me in a way that the what's his name, Jason Bateman's character,
Michael?
Michael. It's like, oh my gosh! By like episode 2, I'm like, I would have just left. I would have just left. There's just no way that I could deal with this much nonsense. It's he's like he's the only semi-sane one trying to hold it all together, and everybody else is like actively working against him. It seems like.
Yeah, yeah. But it
And sometimes in their own self-interest, and sometimes just because they're idiots. And it's like, wow. The show is great because it brings out that incredible frustration in me because I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Why have you just not walked away from this?
But that's a trigger, right?
But yeah, it's a
The
trigger,
trigger is like,
you know,
I can't walk
and he
away.
kinda does, but he comes back and it's like the moral is, well, it's family,
Y
which, maybe, but maybe not, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, like, with him, the dedication to bettering the family and to sticking with the family regardless of how bad they get, which they get really bad. Right, I think it's the test of your commitment to family,
Yeah,
right? And that's something
and
that
it's
I
that's
struggle
that's
with.
the worst family.
I struggle with that too, is just a determination of when to walk away and when not to. For the longest time, that was like I spent years, like, struggling with that. And, like, the guilt of feeling like, "Am I doing the right thing?" And then but because he was staring at me, right, that's where the bitching starts, right? The bitching starts with, like, "Oh, and she said this, and she said that, and she said this, and then look at this," and it's justification of, like, 1, I don't want to be mistreated, right? And thus, I want to walk away. But 2 is there's the guilt of walking away from family, right?
Yeah, right.
And so, you and so you're trying to live your life having self-respect and having dignity and having ability to stand up for yourself, which is something I guess that it's every time I say this to people, they're like, "Really, you?" Like, "You would not be able to stand up?" Like, every time I tell this to people, they're like, "That happened to you, really?" Like, you were in that situation? And I'm like, "What is it about that makes it seem like I would not be the type of person that gets screwed over
You're
myself?"
you're a very strong
No, I am really strong, but
person.
there's for some reason there's certain set of definitions, and I think culturally maybe it's built into family, right? Like family overriding the strength. Like, here's what I want to do, but guess what? Because it's family and because they're elders, somehow there's this narrow band that I will allow my strength to be overridden. I don't know what it is. I do think it's like a cultural. You know how in like a lot of Asian cultures, the elderly people are basically like kings, and so you cannot say anything against them. You cannot do anything against them.
Yeah,
Like you basically worship them for all extensive purposes.
mhm,
Ukraine was not dissimilar.
really.
Uh, I wouldn't say maybe not to the same extent. Like I don't know the nuance of how much you worship the elderly versus not, but in Ukraine, at least how I was brought up, elderly were kind of on this pedestal,
Well,
right? Like,
and it was common for, 3 generations to live in the same house.
yeah, yes, right, yes,
Whereas in the United States, I don't remember, was it the after the Great Depression? That the urban sprawl kinda took over, and it became rare for 3 generations to live in the same house.
yeah. Well, because it causes all kinds of issues.
It caused right. I mean, it does, or I mean, it triggers all kinds of issues.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I get.
Causes is a interesting word, but it triggers all kinds of
Yeah, you're
issues.
right.
Um, and so in the United States, it's very rare to have. I mean,
Yeah,
it's when it happens, it's usually because it's immigrants or people of a culture where that is normal. But your average American does not have 3 generations living in the same household.
yeah, no,
That's very rare. And
yeah,
so the grandparents or great grandparents, the elderly people, they're living on their own if they can, or they're living in some sort of assisted living or whatever, which also isn't great. That's got its own problems. I'm
yeah.
not saying one way is better or worse, but
Um,
culturally, we kind of like go, oh, old people, we'll just put them over there and
yeah,
not think about them. La 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 la.
yeah. But in a way, it also comes down to like economics, right? In Ukraine, a lot of it is just based on well, you cannot afford two separate houses, right? There's not enough income between all the three generations to be able to have two houses
Hmm.
and then live separately and not share the food budget and not share the house budget and the
Yeah,
electricity budget and all that. And so it's kind of like the poorness, at least I'm speaking from my experience, right? The fact that we were poor and gathering the three incomes together or two incomes together, two income uh, uh, ages, like the older income age and then my parents' income age, right? Because I wasn't working at the time. Made it life easier, right? Like we were able to buy more things, we were able to afford more things and
Yeah.
whatnot.
No,
Mm,
it's probably a better quality of life.
yeah. And then in Soviet Union, for you to be able to get a house, like one, there's no way we would ever be able to afford it, right? Like for us to buy out a house, like just buy a house, we were not in that position based on our income level. And then of course we moved out in hopes of getting an apartment for free from the government, but that kind of backfired. It's a whole story. Um, yeah. So it's like part of it is cultural because it has how it's always been done. But I think in some cases, in our case, it was also income derivative. Yeah. But in all honesty, all those triggers are probably great playground for working out deep trauma.
Right? Yeah.
But if you think about it, this brings on another point. Usually, a family circle are all merged into one big
Frequency.
trigger, big one pain
Right?
body.
Yes.
They're all one political system. They're all one religion. They're all one belief.
Yeah.
And so, for the most part, the triggers actually breed themselves in that environment and
Yeah.
become amplified, as
Right.
opposed to
And it
unless somebody's actually within the family trying to get everyone to process
right.
deeper emotion behind
Right.
it.
No, I mean, and that's the there's almost like a it's a trope. It's a sitcom episode where the family all believes one thing, but then it's Thanksgiving and Uncle Jack comes over and he's the crazy Democrat or whatever. And
Yeah.
he's going to talk about politics and he's going to talk about the Buddhism and he's going to talk about all this nonsense and we're going to have to and it's going to bust out the eggnog because we can't deal with it. Right. And that's the thing is because everybody has congealed into this one
Oh,
belief and fine. That's fine. Right or wrong. Doesn't matter.
yeah.
But then you've got some external thing, Uncle Jack, who's poking it because, hey, have you tried meditation? Hey, have you tried yoga? And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe he brought up yoga.
Or this heavy
This is heavy nonsense.
the eggnog. How beautiful is it? The the epitome of American Thanksgiving, at least pre-COVID. I don't know what it is now. Maybe now Thanksgiving is Zoom oriented. But pre-COVID, it was basically like, and you go, and it's just a disaster.
Right?
And it's like, and if you don't step back and look at the disaster, you're just in it.
Right.
And everyone's trying not
I
to
mean,
yell, and everyone's trying not to
how
fight.
how many Thanksgivings or Christmases or Easters, I mean, you go back as far as you want and include as many people as you want, have been like, you're sitting there biting your tongue because you don't want to, oh my gosh, there he goes again, talking about that. Because that's triggering you. Because that, for some reason, feels like the most important thing in the world right now. Oh my gosh, he's talking about you. I don't even know. It doesn't even matter. He's talking. Hey, there it is again. He brought it back up. I thought, oh my gosh. And you're so angry. And you're just fuming inside. And you just want to say something. But at the same time, you're like, well, there's this social etiquette where I shouldn't, call him a socialist idiot in front of the whole family or something. I don't know.
No, but how many Thanksgiving and Christmas endeavors with your family were experienced? But this was it.
Right.
And they don't drink.
They don't drink, right? Well, that makes it worse. I
At
think.
least my family drinks.
Right.
Well, I mean, my immediate family doesn't, but the extended family does. So sooner or later, I guess
Yeah.
there's two parts of the alcohol.
Yeah.
For some people, it actually brings out the filter goes off and you are
Yeah.
more likely to argue. And other people just become more passive.
Right.
With the Ukrainians and Russians, it usually does not bring the arguing down. It just brings it up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, right? We, but we can spend our lifetimes getting angry about those instances, or we can see all of it as an opportunity to
Right.
discover what is it that you are getting out of it. Like what is triggering inside. And maybe we'll go to the other half of it, of how you would handle that.
Right.
Like in our cacao circles, we have we have this discussion. We do go into these deep topics of seen and not heard, and or not seen and not heard, and the victimhood, and being scarce and being afraid, and right, like all of those deep fears we discuss openly, and the traumas during the cacao, right? But at all times, I will say a goal as if there's a goal, but what the point of it all is to allow it to flow as your truth, to admit to it being as your truth out loud
Yeah.
in the group setting. And there's so much cathartic release in that point when you say, you know what, I'm afraid. I'm afraid, and I have this ingrained feeling of unsafety from deep down in my childhood, and that is my truth. And and yes, and I can see this triggering, and I can see that triggering, and I can see all these little triggers throughout 40 years of my life, how that has propagated itself forth. And here I am, a 40-year-old adult, still afraid like a child, right? And you almost, by acknowledging that, allow it to be there as your truth.
Yeah.
And only from that point can you start to actually work through and release. And so the right way to go about it, if there is such a thing as right way, anytime it doesn't go this direction, it is still the right way. So I will say this, right? If you're still afraid, and you still want to complain, and you still want to bitch, and you want to join a circle of three and propagate that energy forth, that is where you are. But at some point where you will be, or where you can be, you go, here it is, and here's my truth. And candidate X triggers this, and global warming triggers that, and lack of milk on the shelves triggers that, and lack of potatoes in the pantry triggers that. Those are all the things that I can look back and go, now, yeah, those would be triggers for me. But then I can go, but that is my truth. And where is it coming from? And then deep down, you can go, oh, it's coming from, as a child, I did not have food. I did not feel safe. I did not feel comfort, and I did not feel like I can just relax. So all the actions of self for 40 years has been a mitigation, right? The control has been there as a mitigation of that fear, right? And then at that point, you automatically, this is what I want to say, you automatically take that density of fear, right? Takes that density of scarcity and the small mindset of self, and you automatically bump it up. Is it not good today?
I hadn't stirred it yet.
Oh, okay.
It was still.
And so you automatically bump it up into higher frequency. One, first frequency of admission that this is your truth. And that, I don't know if you can feel that or not, but the second you say, I play victim, I love playing victim. I go through the world looking around for all the proof of why I'm a victim. And then that gives it power and opportunity to take the lower density of going, I am a victim, and feel the energy that's there. Like, to say I'm a victim and feel the density of like where it's dragging you down. I can almost like feel it's pulling me down into the abyss, versus going, I play a victim. I play a victim game, and I have propagated it as my truth. And like, to me, I can automatically feel
Right.
like this bump up.
Right. And then the next step up is, and I'm done with that. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm
Yeah.
choosing to not do that. I'm choosing to take responsibility. I'm choosing to change the situation if I can, or whatever.
Or to see through. The change is
right.
not actually changing. It's not to deny the fact that you feel that, is to recognize that you feel that. But instead of taking all of these little
Right.
outside factors and blaming them for why this is justified,
Yeah.
to go, oh, look, I'm inserting, this is very important, I'm inserting my victimhood into all of these life scenarios.
Yeah. And it's, just because you may be or may feel like a victim doesn't mean that that's a situation you can change necessarily.
You can choose to feel like a victim,
But
or
you
not
can,
to
but you
choose.
can change how you feel about it. That's it.
Yeah. Most of the time, the scenario in which you feel like a victim has been there, designed by you to bring yourself to the edification of, look, here's another circumstances
Yeah.
where I'm playing a victim.
Right. You feel like a victim in going back to work because it's so easy. Because you're passed over for the promotion and your boss hates you and you have a crappy job and you don't like it or whatever. All those things may be true. But you can look at it as, oh, poor me, I'm stuck in the situation. Or you can look at it as, oh, I'm in the situation. This isn't ideal. This isn't where I want to be necessarily, but maybe I can do something about it. Maybe I can make the best of it. Maybe I can change my mindset around it. And you may end up stuck in that job, maybe, but that's beside the point. The point is how you is your I don't want to say interpretation of it, your mindset around it. And it's not, oh, look at the silver lining, at least you've got a job. It isn't that. That's not
No,
it at all.
no.
It's your mindset around your relationship with yourself.
Yeah. Any more, it's becoming more and more obvious, and this is kind of the technique that I have been using is if I feel anything about anyone or towards anyone or about anything or even the situation or even the circumstance, right? And I look at it and I basically consciously say to myself, okay, I'm feeling this. And there's somebody else out there that I'm trying to blame for or externalize it.
Yeah, yeah.
What if none of that is an option, right? The truth is none of it is an option, but I go take all the outside excuses and go, okay, that's not an option. So I have to go inside. What is that inside of me that is causing this situation to be present? Right? Just don't even don't even allow yourself to go out.
That's so funny because I've been just the last couple of days I've been trying to do exactly that.
Well, I told you that.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just if there's nothing out there that is an option, what is that inside? If I'm responsible, what is it that I'm responsible for here,
Yeah.
right? Like take a responsibility. And I'm not saying like, oh, take responsibility or whatever, whatever. No, like literally don't even let yourself imagine or think or allow yourself an opportunity to go, oh, well, no, it's this, or it's him, or it's her, or it's them, or it's because of this
Or it's the economy,
circumstances.
or it's the president, or
Whatever.
whatever.
Let's just say, run with a scenario. If it is nothing at all outside and it's only you, then what is that in you that is causing this to be present?
Yeah.
What is it in you that is causing this to be your truth right now?
Yeah. And I know it may be easier said than done,
It is really hard to do.
but like if you feel uncomfortable or angry or irked at someone or something, that's your indication that there's something going on inside of you.
Yeah.
And it's when we're sitting around at a cacao ceremony and we're all in that zone, it's a lot easier to do that than it is if you're walking down the street and you see someone holding a sign talking about the end of the world or whatever, and you're like, oh, it goes again. I don't know. Or during Thanksgiving when Uncle Jack's over, it's harder to. Sometimes it's harder because it feels so real. It just sucks you right in. But if you can get in the habit of recognizing that, that's what I'm trying to do. Is just get in the habit of going, oh, look at that. We were doing a Kundalini yoga this morning, and one of the steps is you shake your body for what feels like an hour, but it's probably only like 5 minutes.
It's
And
so hard.
I
It is so
hate
hard.
it. I hate that part so much, and it hurts, and my shoulders hurt, and I get tired, and and I'm like, okay. Usually I just go into grumpy mode, but I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. I don't like it. That's true. There's no getting around the fact that I do not enjoy this. And I'm like, okay, I go right to, well, this is stupid. I'm like, okay, I go right to, well, my arms hurt. Well, that's because I exercised the other day. And so it's just, and I go right to all these things. I go straight to them.
External,
Right.
external.
And I'm just sitting there almost laughing because I can keep coming up with more and more and more. And so I spent that 5 minutes just coming up with more and more and more. And I'm like, all right, what else is there? Let's just get it all out. There's more and more and more. Just nonsense answers why it's somebody else's fault that I feel uncomfortable doing this exercise thing.
But did you ever go inside and go, why?
I think it is because I'm like, I think I'm a reasonably fit, strong person, and I shouldn't feel like I cannot do this for.
If you look, if you stand from the side and look at somebody doing that, you would not ever think that this is hard.
That's the thing. It doesn't look hard, but it is physically painful to me in my shoulders. It hurts. It hurts bad. And I'm like, it doesn't hurt in a way that I have no, I do not believe that it would cause any, it's a muscle hurt. It's not a joint hurt.
Because the
So it's,
muscle's not strong enough.
because my muscle's not strong enough.
So it's an ego thing?
I think so. I think that's what it is. It's like, I'm like, I should be able to do this. I'm a relatively fit person. Why can I not do this? This is it's a bit embarrassing that I can't do this.
There you go. There's the embarrassment.
Right?
But that's where you need to go.
I mean, I saw that. I guess
No,
I didn't end there, but
Yeah, like you don't end of like, you do not go into here's all the ways I can come up with of why I'm angry. I mean, that helps. But because the next step is because, right? Because I feel like I'm weak, because this is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because why? But that's all egotistical self-identity.
No, yes, I saw
Like,
there's a lot
Tanya's gonna be judging me. Probably. If I don't do this right, Tanya will judge me. If I abandon the shaking practice, is there fear there?
No, I mean, I did. I had to take a break and sort of stretch my arms for a minute. And she's like, "Don't take a break. Read through it." I'm like, "Shut up!" I'm so angry. I get angry. I get angry at her because she's not even doing it. Right? I saw that. I remember the comments.
Yeah,
there was a comment. She's not even doing it. It's like, well, she'd be panting if she was doing it.
I know, right? But that person, what that person is with that comment, there's a Kundalini that we do that is, oh my gosh, it is. If you're ever trying to release stuck energy,
right,
and actually actualize yourself, into awareness, it is like gold. It is pure gold. But the comments on it are so terrible because the people who are doing it are angry. Like, it makes you angry. It brings up all of this stuff.
It does.
In you, because one, it looks stupid and it looks easy, but nobody can do it. Like just lifting your legs every so often for 30 seconds is apparently, and I get angry is whenever we do the shaking, I feel a stuck point in my spine that causes me, obstructs my Kundalini flow. Like, and I can actually feel it, right? And my anger comes up and like, oh, I wish it wasn't there. I see it there and I cannot shake myself out of that spot. And so I become angry about the fact that I cannot release something within me, right? And I'm like, how silly is that? But the most amazing part of it is the anger is coming up, right?
Yeah. You're letting it out.
You're letting it out.
Because it's it's in there. Just because I don't feel angry right now, it doesn't mean that it's not in there. I could go do the Kundalini again, even though I'm incredibly sore, and it would come right up.
No, and with me, like I start growling. Like I need like a verbal release, and so I just growl through it. And I feel like that helps whatever verbally trapped energy that I have. Obviously there's no words, but there's something about growling that allows me to do it. Yeah. And I used to scream at some point, but like, it's hard to scream for a long time because I can never scream at the top of my lungs. I kind of do like that halfway scream. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Because if I open it all the way, it actually hurts my throat and like my entire vocal system. Because you're doing it for 3 minutes at least, if not longer.
Right. Which doesn't sound like a long time, but it is in the midst of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But the important part is what I want to say is, even though we're doing that, it's here's all the shit that it is bringing up, but why? Deep down, what is it?
Yeah.
And in your case, it's
I think it's an ego thing.
It's an ego thing. I guess I should be able to do this. Look at this. Right. I'm a man, and what is it? Just literally just doing this.
Yeah, it's just doing that. Like, right? I'm like, yeah. It looks, how hard can it be?
It's so hard.
God.
I love it. I love.
It's like, well, why can't we just do these push-ups? I could just do all these push-ups. I could do that. I'd show them. Then they'd know, right?
Who's they?
I don't know who they is.
The person in the video,
right?
Right, because at some point you're like, feel like you're failing the teacher,
right? Yeah,
like,
right.
The teacher's dead.
Who are these three schmucks on this video? And they're doing it, and I'm not. And I'm like, I hope they're dying. I hope they're just going, oh my God, 3, 2. I hope so. I hope so.
Really? Is that how angry you get?
Sometimes, yeah. It's like, sometimes I want a yoga teacher to go, I know it hurts. It hurts so bad. It hurts me too. I'll just come on. I'm struggling to do it. That's what I want. I want a yoga teacher who's honest, who's not like, oh, well, this going to the end of the squat and we're gonna go a little deeper. Come on, let's go a little deeper. It's fun. It's like, no, it hurts. Damn it, it hurts.
You realize that just all the stuck energy of you judging yourself on what you should be able to do.
I know. I know that. I know.
That's why I love Kundalini. It's so eye opening to the idiocy of ourselves, right? And then like whenever I think her point is whenever your physicality gets challenged, right? The second you cannot perform rudimentary tasks with your hands or your legs, that automatically triggers something, right?
We when we were on a vacation in Austria, and somehow I hurt I don't remember if it was my right or my left shoulder.
Probably right. I'm assuming because the suitcase, you lift the suitcase.
I don't know how I did it, but my arm was basically useless for most of that trip.
Yeah.
And it's like I could barely lift the camera up to take pictures. It was like I had to support the camera with my other hand to even lift it up to take pictures. It was really, really bad. It hurt bad, and I couldn't. It was bad, and like I can't move a suitcase. I can't get a bag out of a car. Driving is tricky in as much as well, I can at least my hand worked, but I couldn't use my shoulder, so I couldn't move my arm up. But if I hold my hand on the steering wheel, then I can use the other hand to lift it up. But it was like, oh my gosh, I seem to drive a lot of identity around being being a man, and I'm lifting the heavy stuff and I'm moving stuff and I'm helping out and all that stuff, and I couldn't for a lot of that trip. And our son's a hefty guy, and he stepped up and carried, because we're in like Airbnbs and there's no elevator, so it's just like you got to lug your suitcase up 3 flights of stairs and then back down 3 flights of stairs and all this stuff, which I would just instinctively do, but apparently I derive a lot of identity around being the helpful man who's gonna do the hard physical work.
Yeah, but then what does that bring up? Right?
Well,
Like
yeah,
you can't stop at that.
It makes me feel weak. It makes me feel useless, right? And it's like,
And then what? Right? You have to go deeper than that.
and what?
Weak and useless is what then? Because it's probably triggering at the core, right? The weak and useless still does not have the right trigger. Do you know what I mean? The trigger is deeper.
I guess that I'm not useful. Probably ... Then I'm not worth anything.
I wouldn't do the ... If I'm not useful, if I'm not strong,
If I'm not useful, yeah, then I have no value.
Yeah,
right?
and if you have no
If
value,
I have no value, then who's gonna love me? Probably.
No, don't say probably. Identify it.
I
Or
mean,
probably is the wussy world out.
Yeah, I think that's it. Then if I'm useless, then who's gonna love me? And therefore I'm unlovable. Right? But I mean, I didn't get there, but it was really apparent to me that, oh, this really matters to me, that
Yeah.
I'm unable to do this, and that makes me feel bad. It makes me feel like I'm not a real man, quote, whatever that means.
Well,
And
but it means something very personal to each one of
Yeah.
us, right?
and it was very eye-opening.
Yeah.
It was hard, and it's like it crossed my, gosh, well, if imagine someone is like, paralyzed or something, in a wheelchair or something, especially someone who was able-bodied and who apparently derived a lot of identity from being able to do stuff,
I think we all derive identity from that.
right?
Because it's like
and then you
humanity
can't.
101.
And
You get angry.
yeah, and not only that, but it's like now I need help, and it's like, oh, now I'm a burden on everybody else, and that's it. It feels bad.
Why?
It feels bad because then it's like I'm not I'm not providing, I'm not helping, I'm a burden.
And thus
And i- it's like I don't think that my family would resent me for being a
it
burden,
doesn't matter.
but I probably feel that they probably would, right?
Why probablys? Why so many probablys? Why not start verbalizing as your truth? Right?
Right?
That's weasel words out.
It's like I don't logically think that, but I feel that as a burden, there would be resentment to me for dragging everybody down, and
And thus,
and therefore I'm worthless, and therefore I'm unlovable, right? And I think, oh my gosh, um, Ram Dass, late in life had a stroke, and he was uh, unable to do a lot of things for himself,
mhm,
and it's like, and here's someone who's pretty self-actualized, right? You
mhm.
don't get a whole lot more enlightened than Ram Dass.
There's Jesus.
There's Jesus, but he's up the ladder, right? Uh, and it's like, I wonder how that was for him. How did he deal with that? And I don't know.
I mean, if you most, as people get older, most of the people will start to experience physical diminished capability.
Sure,
Whether or not
sure,
it's walking or range of motion or
yeah.
whatever. And if you are not actualizing yourself into any awareness, anger would be the first thing, right? So if you're actually allowing yourself to feel anything, right? Like in your case, you would just deny all feeling. But in my case, the first thing for most people, the first thing that they would feel would be anger, right?
Yeah. No, I was angry. I was
Yeah.
angry about what is wrong with my stupid arm? Why doesn't it work?
But you at the time, the anger is so overwhelming that it's you recognize it's about your arm, but then you will start to extrapolate that onto the world. You're just going to be angry about everything, right? Like that anger will spill over and amplify as if you don't start to actualize as, oh, at the core is I feel angry because now I'm disabled with my arm. If you don't actualize and if you don't admit that to yourself, where that anger will go is into everything. You will see everything that justifies your anger. Never admitting it. Oh, guess what? Because the second you admit to yourself that I'm angry
I was
because
a-
of this
I
injury,
was angry that there were stairs in the Airbnb, because then it's like that,
right?
because then that just exemplified that I'm incapable of doing anything.
Yeah, but right to your
Right? It's
anger
like
at the
I'm
stairs.
angry that this 800-year-old building has beautiful stairs.
They're beautiful.
What? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm angry that the lock is difficult for me to twist, because it's like, this is a trivial thing that a child could do, and I'm struggling to twist a key in the lock.
Yeah. No, you'll find anger in everything,
Yeah,
but then you're just an angry person,
yeah. I think
right?
I was probably a bit angry on that trip.
Yeah, at the end, yeah, I remember that. Right. But in my case, what I tend to do with you is because you and I are so close, I tend to, instead of, now I'm a little bit better to where I can see you being angry and I can, point it out to you, go, okay, there's something going on there. You need to go and meditate and figure that shit out. But prior to that, I would just join in with your anger.
Yeah.
Right. And,
Coming
and then I'm angry and then you're
coming
angry.
back to the topic.
Yeah. But that's very easy is if somebody's blindly in this space
Yeah.
and if there's any anger uh reminiscing in me from, I specialize in anger. Like, you know, realistically speaking, all children, most children, their first emotion that they will feel will be anger because they can't process the depth of any one
Right.
situation.
And anger.
Anger is
Yeah.
the first
And
one.
angers is it is a obviously a first level emotion, but it is usually
Masking.
masking something else. It's covering up something else. It's a
Mhm.
symptom of probably fear.
Yeah, it's always fear. I mean, everything is fear. It's just what
Yeah.
Kool-Aid is. Yeah, and so yeah, it's like
Well, just to stay on that for just a second. It's because anger, I think we've even talked about this before. It's because anger, you feel like you have a whole lot more control over anger than you do fear. It's
mhm,
like angry, which sucks, feels a lot safer than afraid, which sucks more.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I'm afraid that I'm useless and unlovable. So instead, I'll be angry about my arm and about the stairs and about the key.
Yeah. Yeah, because with anger, you're like, oh, it is F low
Yeah.
in the wrong direction, but it is F low.
Right,
And it's just a
and
question of like, what?
angry is often externalized. It's the arm, it's the key, it's the heavy suitcase, it's the car, it's the,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
trunk that I can't lift up. It's
Hmm.
gosh, there were so many things that I just take for granted that I do all day, every day that just didn't work. And I was angry about all of them. And every time a new one popped up, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just opening up the hatch on the back of this car. Couldn't do it.
Yeah. I don't remember what happened.
I think we had the BMW, right?
I
Or is
don't
it
remember.
Mercedes? I don't remember. I was gonna say it's white, but they're all rental cars are white. I remember parking it in the spot that allegedly we got a ticket in.
Yeah, I don't remember. I guess we travel so much. I don't know where. I remember the stairs because it was in Prague. The stairs were in Prague at that Airbnb, like right next to that bridge. The pretty bridge. That's where because that building was really old and they did not have the elevator. But I thought our hotel what was in Vienna? Wait, using all kinds of Airbnbs now.
Yeah, no, I don't. Maybe it was Prague.
The Prague is where, yeah, because yeah.
There was a lot of confusion on where the key was, and we
Oh yeah, and then in Europe, in some countries, they start counting the floors from 0, 1, and 2.
yeah,
And in America, of course, it's like
ground level
the
is
ground
one.
level is 1, and then it's 2. And so it was like on the second floor. So
That
we went up 2
just
stairs.
just joking.
Yeah, but it was actually like 3 levels up. And so we were sticking a key into the wrong door. And like however the doors were, they weren't too clearly marked, or we weren't. But it was
And
late at
like the
night.
lights didn't. There were no.
Oh,
We
the
couldn't figure out how to
motion
turn the lights
sensor.
on.
There were motion sensors, and the sensors were delayed,
Yeah.
and so we could. Yeah, it was weird. But yeah, so I think that was because I remember.
No,
One of the suitcases was me, and I was angry because I have my shoulder problem all the time, and I can't carry a suitcase too long.
Yeah,
And so I was angry while you were angry for the same reason.
yeah. And for whatever reason, I think my left shoulder hurt too because I couldn't even carry it with my left hand. Like I could carry normally. I could carry even a heavy suitcase with either hand, but
I think even if you carry things with your left hand, there's some kind of bracing that happens on your
yeah,
right side.
yeah.
Like even if
No,
if you're picking up with
it
this,
it was
you would
the
have to
it was
brace.
the it was the one that was like across from there was like a Jewish center almost across the street.
It
And
was
we
the oldest synagogue in
yeah,
the city.
that's the building I'm talking about.
That's Prague. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And that's we traveled there during COVID because we had to get the COVID test. Remember, like we had to go in the pharmacy and we walked in one end to sign up for it, and we had to walk around the building to the other end to actually do the COVID test, which was really strange.
I thought that was Port Portugal.
No, that was Prague.
To
'Cause
get out?
to leave the country,
Uh,
because we had to have the test 24 hours before, so we got the test in Prague. Portugal was not during COVID, was it?
yeah, no, we had to get that test in Lisbon leaving, and Annabelle did not like it.
Oh, the lady went really deep.
All off topic. Anyway.
We get all kinds of stuff. No, yeah, so the goal of the higher actualization of self is always to bring up all these dense triggers within you so you have an opportunity to work through them.
Yeah.
And one of the easiest ways for it to do that is to get into the like-minded group in order to get triggered, so then you have an opportunity.
Yeah.
But if you don't see that and you go, oh no, I just go into all these groups and I just bitch over and over and over, and I talk about politics here and I bitch about the weather here and I bitch about the yoga here, right? If you are blind and you're walking it, yes, you could spend your lifetime doing that if that is indeed the end of your path on this earth. But I think for most people right now, they're recognizing is the end of their path is not in the first level bitching about the world session, is to actually actualize what is it that they need to release out of their body. And so all of these little sessions, if you happen to be stuck in one, is an opportunity to not only recognize what is it that is triggering you, to raise your own frequency. But I think what I have talk to you about is then help the others who are in that space to raise their frequency.
Right.
And and that is what this is, probably maybe very personal to me, but I feel responsibility in that. I feel like if I'm walking this world and if I'm responsible for myself and myself only, right? Then it's my duty if I'm walking into a situation where there's the conversation of victimhood and we're all playing victims to actualize that, guess what? I can relate. This is a density that I still have stuck within me, but I can choose to fall into that density, propagate the negativity thereof, meaning propagate the negative of like, yes, there is such thing as victimhood. Yes, there is such thing as blaming the rest of the world for my woozies. You know, I can choose that, or I can go, no, that's not an option. I am playing the victim. Why am I choosing to play the victim? I can see everybody else doing it, but why is this my decision at this moment, in this time, right now? And what am I responsible for? If I'm responsible for myself, I need to identify why I'm playing the victim game all of a sudden, back to 101, right? And then two, what is the trigger? And then what can I do about it forward? And so that's kind of like my thing, right? Is I am responsible for myself, and thus here's my truth. But now, more so than anything, I am also noticing that expand out into I am responsible for the truth, but I see the world struggling with the circumstance, with this. And then I feel the responsibility to go, okay, but if I'm in a situation where everyone is blind, where everybody does not see the truth of their own soul and wants to play the victim, I can come in into my story and I can come in into actualization of me and go, yes, we are all three, let's say all three of us are victims right now and we feel victimized. But what we need to do is we need to acknowledge that we feel victimized and actualize of what that has done to us over the last 40 years of my life, let's say, right? And then go, so what is the solution forward? What is the choice forward? Do we want to continue to play victim? And have that conversation with all three of us.
Right. I mean, I I heard this in the past, and I mean it relates to this, even though I never really connected it. It's like if somebody's complaining about something, the the thing that you're supposed to say is, "Oh, that sounds bad. What are you going to do about that?"
But yeah, in the past, I
Which
took it as like, oh, what are you going to do about it out into the world? But the
yeah,
statement is,
yeah.
what are you going to do about it
Yeah. I guess what
yourself
are you going to do about
inside?
the situation? How are you going to get out of that or fix that situation? Which there's something there, but yes, deeper than that is why is that bothering you so much? And what is that triggering inside of you? Those are two very different things. And probably that second one is more important.
Yeah, identifying what is it that if this trigger is my responsibility and there's no one out there to blame, what am I going to do about it in recognizing what is it actually triggering, right? And this is just one we went through in this episode is just going down. Okay, I got angry. Well, why did I get angry? I got angry because I feel weak and I feel like not a man. What does that mean? Oh, because if I'm not a man and I'm weak, then I'm liability. If I'm liability, guess what? Well, nobody wants a fucking liability next to them. So therefore, no one actually likes me. And if no one actually likes me, then guess what? I'm unlovable. And then you go, oh, by default, I feel unlovable. And that is something that I struggle with all of my life. So guess what? I'm back right there.
Yeah.
And to me, it kind of diffuses that whole thing. Like the
Yeah.
anger gets diffused.
Yeah.
The victimhood gets diffused because you're like, oh, look at me. I'm playing the same game again.
Yeah.
Because I feel unlovable and I'm projecting the out in this particular situation where my shoulder's hurting and now I'm useless. But deep down, it's like, oh, I'm playing that game. And I would say it would take a long, long time for those triggers not to come up to where all of a sudden in the actions of the world, you will not find little things that make you feel unlovable. It is okay for that trigger to be there. It is okay for that to be the essence of what you're trying to solve in this reincarnation. But as long as you see that and you go, yeah, that is what my truth is. In my case is, yeah, I just feel unsafe. And I walk around and I find little nuances in life of like, oh, look, that's triggering me and this is triggering me. And it's beautiful. Like I cannot say this about everything, but some things now just look beautiful. The fact that I walk this life in a very childlike way, either looking for things that make me feel unsafe or trying to mitigate the things that make me feel unsafe, all blindly. And that's funny.
It's funny is where I go. Once I realize it, it is wildly entertaining to sit back and go, look at this shit show going on inside my head. It's hilarious.
And it's beautiful. I feel
It's
like I find
yeah,
it
it's
beautiful.
beautiful. I literally laugh when I'll go from just angry to wait a minute. It's hilarious. I mean,
Because you're playing the same game.
yeah, because it's like all of a sudden I'm not living it. I'm watching this sitcom of my mind, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is again. It's the same. It's the same story. It's just
Mhm.
a different episode.
Yeah, it's literally the same story.
It's the
Like the
same.
story
Yeah,
never
it's the
changes.
same story. It's like, oh well, now it's this guy instead of that guy, or it's my arm instead of this, or whatever.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
always the same. It's the same thing.
yeah,
It's just, can you see through the fact that now it's Uncle Jack, or now it's your arm, or now it's your boss, or now it's the election, or now it's whatever.
yeah,
But it's always the same thing.
yeah.
But it becomes wildly funny and entertaining to when I notice it and I'm able to step back and go, oh,
Yeah,
there we go again.
but think about the energetic density shift between allowing victimhood to be your truth and how dense that feels to laughing about it or finding it beautiful.
Right.
Like the circumstances have not changed. Your outlook is, you still are identified with
Arm still hurts.
identity.
Right.
Yeah, right? Nothing changed other than the choice in the perception and the energy that you give that.
Yeah.
Instead of being deep down in it to where you cannot even see the fact that there is a choice, you're like, well, no, this is my truth.
Yeah.
And think about that density versus the density of how beautiful is that?
Yeah. I go back to the word, the feeling, a charge of it. It makes the charge of it disappear. Like I would have so much of a charge around whatever it is. I started off, there's a charge around, doing this Kundalini shake thing.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, I can feel the charge. Feeling the charge is like, I'm trying to make that my internal sugar of, wait, something's going on. And then eventually it's like, okay, well, I'm still upset, but I don't have the charge. And it still hurts, but the charge isn't there. It's not, it's like, it becomes, it is what it is. It is, okay, well, there's physical pain, there's physical discomfort, but it's not like it goes away from, and it's her fault because she's sitting there or whatever. I don't know.
Right. Think about how angry somebody would have had to been to go through her Kundalini episode and then go into this particular show's notes and write a terrible comment towards the Kundalini instructor whose goal is to actually help you release the energy. But instead of even recognizing that, is they got angry and then they complained about her sitting there not being in pain while they were in pain. How much blindness that person expressed. And in this case, think about the awesomeness of this. While on Gaia, which is literally designed to help you actualize into your feelings. I mean, I'm judging, but how beautiful is that?
Were there comments back at her? Were there comments replying to her comment?
There's no, but
Or does it not?
I
Does it
don't
not?
read Gaia comments at all. But I noticed there's usually a rating of a percentage,
Like
and this
thumbs
one
up,
had a lower
thumbs up, thumbs
thumbs
down.
up and down, and then you have the percentage. And this one had a lower percentage. This particular episode, and I'm like, how? Why would somebody rate this low? And so I just got curious because I loved the episode. Um, and then that was one of the comments. It was like, oh, she's so high and mighty, sitting there on her throne while everybody. And I'm like, have you done Kundalini? I cannot talk during it. I'm literally growling and panting the entire time. So it's like the fact that that human being was one blind to the fact the Kundalini was bringing up anger within them to process. They took that anger did not actualize into it at all, went completely blind to it, and in fact, actually went out into the world and propagated more anger out, which to me is the saddest part of it all. But how ironic on a platform that is designed to bring awareness to self.
Right.
And that's beautiful.
I'm curious if it brought up like the same thing, but for the opposite reason, and other people who were like basically turned into some sort of flame war, where this person commented that, and a whole bunch of other people were like, "No, you got it all wrong," and they got all passionate about that.
I guess that YouTube, I think like on YouTube, like comments on Instagram and YouTube tends to do
comments are
that.
the worst. They're just
Yeah. I mean,
there's nothing wholesome there.
But there's nothing wholesome is because people are living in anger and pain, and instead of actualizing anything internally, because it's difficult, right? It's difficult to start digging in and go, wait, if it's not the world, if it's not the Kundalini instructor sitting in there on her throne, and it's me, what is it about me that caused me to get angry at her sitting there? Right. It didn't even register. But that's what maybe this is what this episode is. There is a responsibility to have that register. And at some point, you have to face that we are responsible for our own feelings and we are responsible for our own well-being. And in fact, that own well-being is the extrapolation into what the world is, right? If we're not responsible for our well-being, the world is angry because of us. If we're not responsible for our well-being, the world is falling apart because of us, right? The anger and frustration and fear is all there because of us. And so, to me, like I cannot even emphasize the obviousness of that at this point. Is if we choose to go into a group and fall into the lower density emotion of victimhood, of anger, of fear, of politics, of how terrible Kundalini yoga is and how terrible this instructor is, or whatever it is, if we're just blind and we're bitching and extrapolating out into the world, not only is that doing disservice to us as a soul, right? Like we're not even actualizing into what our soul is calling us into. We're causing the rest of the world not to have the opportunity as well.
Well said.
Is this where the Bible stumping ends and we end the episode? I can't help it. Like I cannot help it, but I feel so
I
responsible.
feel passionately about other people feeling passionately.
No, I feel passionate for. At what point?
Right.
Will we not take responsibility?
I'm teasing.
No, it's like it is the most important thing that I can think of is for me to take responsibility for myself. And believe me, I know I specialize in bullshit. Right? I'm like,
tell me about it.
Well, no, like I'm all like, oh, over here I'm all good and great, but over there, oh no,
oh my gosh, those people at the car drop off. Oh my gosh.
I can relate to some of that, right? But right, so the blindness is not there, but at all times, what I try to do is try to step back, and go, okay, it's not the car drop off. It's me. What is it about me? And that option is always there. You always have an opportunity to step back and go, if it's not the world, if it's not the car drop off, if it's not the politics, if it's not the yoga, if it's not the coffee or whatever, what is it inside of me? And I think that's like the best trick, like the easiest trick up your sleeve that you have is if you take the possibility of it being something outside of you and you have to find something within, then that opens up a door. I know I keep on saying the same. I'll stop talking so we can finish the episode.
I think that's good. I mean, I think what was the original topic? Syncing in with other people? It kind of turned into.
No, I think we were on topic. Other than when we start talking about. No, all of it was on topic. I think.
Yeah.
I think we did a good job.
Good job for us.
Good job. Check.
8 on topic. We'll give that a check. More than 5%, so it's a check.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.